Hey guys, welcome to Book Love. Thanks for joining me. My name's Ember. We're going to talk about a book today that I read with my book club, and the book is The Night Swim by Goldin. So this book is about a lady named Rachel, and she has a true crime podcast that she hosts and does. And in it, this is her third season doing the podcast, so she's really trying to make her podcast interesting and relevant and keep it, competitive with the other podcasts around. So she decides she is going to cover an active trial. The current crime/trial that she decides to cover is in a small coastal town where a young girl has been raped or allegedly raped. The trial is going to be on proving whether that happened or not. And of course, to make things more interesting, on her way to the city that she's going to be staying in while this court case happens, she receives a letter from one of her fans. In the letter, the person states that her sister Jenny Stills was murdered like 20 or something years ago, and so she is asking Rachel to investigate and prove that it wasn't an accidental death as it was reported at the time. So there are some definitely talk and discussion and moments where they speak about rape in this book, so if that is something that is challenging for you, just beware going into it. I'm not going to say don't read this book because of that. However, if it's something that you're not emotionally prepared to read or deal with, then maybe this book isn't the best right now, until you're at a place where you feel strong enough that that is something that you could work through, and this could maybe be more of a healing situation rather than traumatizing you more. So I think that reading this book and discussing it, or even having the conversation with yourself just about rape in general, would be a really beneficial thing, because in our society it is pretty strange how we react to this. I'm going to read you a little bit from chapter 4 that kind of talks about this, and as I was reading it, I was like, yeah, this is so strange that, here, just in our modern society, this is kind of how it is. She says, ever since I announced that I'm covering a rape trial for season 3, I've been inundated by people asking me why. My mother, my brother, my producer, even my ex called to express his reservations. The phrase, "Rachel, are you crazy?" came up a lot. They're worried that no matter how I report on the trial, I'm going to rile people up. I'm going to offend people, I'm going to get hate mail and abuse, and perhaps most frighteningly, I'm going to get crucified on Twitter. So you can already see that this is definitely very contemporarily written. Because rape, for a reason that I can't understand, is divisive. Murder is a piece of cake by comparison. Everyone agrees that murder is heinous. There's no argument about that. There's no difference of opinion. The Bible says it outright, thou shalt not kill. When it comes to rape, the Bible is more ambivalent. The Bible is more ambivalent, much like rape laws have been for millennia. Raping women was considered a legitimate spoil of war throughout much of human history. It wasn't that long ago when a husband could rape his wife without breaking the law in some states. In some countries, a husband can still rape his wife or even a random woman or girl, as long as he marries her afterward. That's why I chose this case rather than cover another murder trial for season 3. I want to make you think about how rape and the threat of rape affects the lives of women in 100 different ways. Okay, then I'm skipping ahead a little. When school kids are shot by a random shooter, nobody asks whether the victim should have taken more precautions. Nobody suggests that maybe the victim should have skipped school that day. Nobody ever blames the victims. So why is it that when women are attacked, the onus is on them? If only she hadn't walked home alone. If only she hadn't cut through the park. If only she had taken a cab. When it comes to rape, it seems to me, if only is used all the time. Never about the man. Nobody ever says, if only he hadn't raped her. It's always about the woman, if only. So again, as I mentioned, this could easily be a very sensitive, very intense conversation starter if you read it and talk about it with friends or a book club like I did. Or you can just read it for the interesting crime-solving, thriller kind of, not thriller, no. Crime-solving, trial case book that it is. I did enjoy the characters and the setting of this book. I thought it was well written. I didn't so much enjoy the actual trial. I'm finding with that and another book I read earlier this year that maybe I don't really love books where they actually talk about a trial ongoing, which is funny because I'm planning to read To Kill a Mockingbird again, and I remember it has a trial in it, so we'll see how I fare with that. But anyway, I did really enjoy this book. I liked to see the mystery of what happened in the past with Jenny Stills was resolved and kind of unfurled, and the court case in the current day was thought-provoking for me as well. A good read, a good author, maybe a little bit of a tricky subject matter, but I think that those are not books that we necessarily should shy away from. Just be mindful and be careful. Again, I probably wouldn't recommend this for young children or young teens. Maybe, again, my later teenage children, it would be fine as long as they knew that if they had any questions about anything, that we should talk about them. I don't think that there's really too early of an age for you to start talking about proper behavior and how we treat people, not just women, but men as well. There are, of course, lots of cases where men are raped and women are raped. And so it's not just one gender that only gets that kind of treatment. So I think even starting young, having those conversations with your kids in an age-appropriate way are very important. Anyway, that's all I have today for The Night Swim by Megan Goldin. And I hope if you have any questions about this book, feel free to ask me and I will answer the best that I can. Otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much. Bye.